go live and then switch the screen. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the coffee session with MBA and Beyond. And apologies to keep you waiting. I think there was a technical glitch. Can you confirm, Archana, one more time? We are live now.
Yeah, we are. Now we are definitely, yes.
All right. I'm sorry. We were sometimes not very good with the technical stuff there, but yes, welcome all of you, and we are so excited to have you with us tonight. We've got Archana with us. Of course, we're going to be doing an introduction in the soft bit. She's an ex-veteran from Air Force, and she's taken a similar journey as you want to take in the next couple of months or maybe a couple of years. We are so excited to have you here tonight, and we want to answer all the questions and challenges that you may have. We are willing to take this journey and help you as much as we can with your questions. Warm you up and to get you started, we've got some fun activity. Keep your phones ready to scan the QR code. We're just going to be sharing it. We've got some fun stuff to do. We want to get to know you better, and we want you all to get to know each other better. We want to know what's really going on in your head so that we can, of course, tailor this particular session and answer your questions towards the end based on where you're coming from and what your thought process is. You can drop your questions in the comment section below, and we would love to take them up at the end of the session. Archana and I both would love to take up any of your answers. Just to introduce myself a little, I'm Paridhi. I'm the co-founder of MBA and Beyond, and are here to help all the applicants who want to go for their MBA with a purpose. That's our vision, and we know that you want to go for an MBA, go do an MBA from a top business school with a purpose. That's why we are here to facilitate that journey for you. All right, so let's get started. This is a warm-up exercise. There is a QR code on your screen. Get your phone or get your friend's phone or your wife's phone or your partner's phone, whoever you want. If you are on the screen with your phone, or get on the session with your laptop and use your phone instead, or you can join slido.com using the number or the code that you see there, 815389. I'll give you a moment to get started.
Can I also join Paridhi? I'm also interested too.
Of course, Archana, please go for it. It'll be interesting to have people participate. So let's get started.
Yeah, just scanning.
Oh, nice. One person joined.
Navy, infantry.
Infantry, nice. Indian Army.
Oh, many from Indian Army. Right.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, I think Navy is taking the lead in this one today for today's session. Yeah.
Oh, Navy is the winner. Archana,
Yes.
what do you feel about that?
I wish I could see some Air Force around, but yeah, that's all right. I'm
That's,
here.
oh my God, not so many Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Are we still getting some more people?
Yeah, it just increases in size with the number. So that's Navy
Yeah.
now in the lead.
All right. Interesting to see that Navy is winning. And sorry, Archana, we don't see much of Air Force here. So-
No worry, I'll represent.
okay. All right. So let's join the quiz, guys. And let's start. A bunch of questions, all fun questions coming your way, just to get to know you better, just to get to know what each one of us is thinking. So please go on, join the quiz, and then we'll start. I'll wait for, I think 11 of us participated. I'll wait for all of us to join. Oh, hi, Rubens. Nice to see you there.
Yeah, I see
Interesting.
some familiar names. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you do. Archana, you get like so many LinkedIn bombarded. Like she gets bombarded with LinkedIn messages all the time, guys. So
Oh,
you know
yes.
where to reach her. Nice. Let's wait for everyone to wait another 20 seconds. If you're joining, you can join, scan the code, or log into slido.com and key in the code 815389. If you don't have your phone handy, maybe you can ask your partner, your friend, or somebody in your family to give you the phone. It only takes like a few minutes, and then you can give it back to them. All right, I think we have a bunch of people there, so let's get started. Okay, can a military, you only get 30 seconds for this. Can a military personnel apply for global MBA? Yes, need to get to know you guys.
Now, I remember if you would have asked me this question a year ago, my answer would have been different.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
What would it have been? Let's try to see.
Maybe I would have said far-fetched. Yeah.
Imagine, look at these guys. They're so confident about it. That's
That's
really
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you too old for an MBA? Arshna, what were you thinking when the first thought came to your mind for an MBA? I mean, when you were
I
maybe,
thought probably I'm going to be the oldest candidate in my cohort. So
yeah.
I was thinking, should I go for really to full-time MBA or should I go for the executive one with the older lot? Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what this lot thinks about it. Okay. Whoa. Nice. Okay, 19% of them
19% still thinks. Okay.
still thinking. Oh, so you belong to the 19%, or you belong to the 81%, Archana. Where do you belong?
I
Like,
was 19, but now I'm with
okay, now you're
81.
81.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, next one. That's the correct answer. You're good to go. Next one. What are you eligible for? What do you guys think? Where do you think you stand the most chance? Full-time MBA, executive MBA, or sky's the limit? It's like, where do you think you see yourself fitting the most? Arshna, I won't ask you this question because I know your answer, so I don't want to reveal that and I don't want to give them hints.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about it in a bit.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm curious though about how it turns out.
Oh, okay. Full-time
Oh,
MBA
nice.
50%, executive MBA 20%, and sky's the limit. All right, so there's a tie between sky is my limit and full-time MBA. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But yes, the correct answer is sky is my limit. You can go for anything, guys. Like whatever you choose, you just need to have a very strong answer for why do you need to go for an MBA, whichever MBA that is. And you need to highlight the gaps in your profile that you think only that sort of an MBA is going to help you bridge. All right. Oh, so we have a winner. So Radeep, there's something for you later. We'll reach out to you on your email. You can we've got a little surprise. We're going to talk about it later. So this will definitely play an important role there. Interesting. And you took only 49 seconds. Very nice.
Nice.
We've got Sordeep, Rajdeep, Vinay, Sagar, Vinay, and Patnala. Congratulations, guys. All right, let's move on. Which option is best for your transition to the corporate world? I know a lot of you, I mean, because I get on a call with people like you and we discuss about what's the best. And one of my best friends is in the army, and we keep discussing what it really means to transition and why should we transition and how do we transition. So I really want to know where you guys are at and what do you think. Okay, so you most of them think veteran hiring programs. Some
It's
people
still
require
alive. Yeah.
okay, so it's still coming up. Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
I'm curious about the sit back and chill.
Yeah, yeah.
Lot.
I was like,
I so
I
wanted
want
to
to
be
reach
there.
you to be the best actually, because I think you guys have done enough. Like, aren't you tired? Why do you want to taste the other side? It's not that beautiful. I mean, it is fun and interesting.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that people have chosen MBA as the top selection so far. That's nice.
And very interesting. So,
Hmm.
MBA. Oh, it's still updating, Archana.
Yeah, yeah,
We're waiting for two more people. Okay. Nice. I think we got that in.
yeah,
So, MBA, veteran hiring programs, pre-release course. Masters, people are thinking about masters as well, like some
yeah,
other kind of masters, and that's good to know. It's
yeah.
interesting to know. And even Coursera certification, there are definitely some people who want to sit back and chill. All right, rank top 5 corporate careers that you guys think are the best options that make sense to you. Really curious to find out what kind of career options are you all thinking. uh, what really helps you draw the connection between what you're doing now and what you'll be doing in the corporate world. So let's see.
Yeah, I'm curious about this one because, especially when you transition out of military, the relatable one is always operations and supply chain. So I
Yeah.
want, and general management, of course. So I wanted to see how that, pans out with the audience and how their thought process goes into. And
Sure.
general management and operations are still there on the top. Yes. But I think one thing we got right is nobody chose the last option. I think they're all in the right
I'm
webinar.
actually, I was just waiting on that, and my eyes are keyed or are actually hooked. Very interesting. Wow, consulting. I thought like you guys are going to be a little different from the rest of the world, but most of the applicants across the globe, like 90% of the applicants, they want to pursue management consulting. But I'm liking how there's like a little tie. And Archana, yes, you're correct. A lot of applicants really think about operations and supply chain. Oh, general management one. Interesting.
Hmm. Right.
Okay. Um, all right, guys. Thanks. And that was like a little exercise just to get to know you all, just to understand where you're coming from and what you're really thinking. We have Archana with us tonight, and she's going to be walking you through what challenges and you could face and how to tackle them best if you're really thinking for an MBA this year or next year or in the next couple of years. She's ex-veteran from the Air Force. And I don't want to take away the introduction because I love to hear from Archana myself each time she introduces herself. So over to you, Archana. Please introduce yourself to us and to the crowd tonight.
Thank you, Pardeep. Thank you for a bit of introduction and sharing the stage with me. I'm really, really happy to be here. And this is something which I always wanted to get back to the community and give back and then, share the things that I know with the veteran community, especially. So thanks for the opportunity, first of all. To get started, I am, like everyone knows now, I am Squadron Leader Archana Kandasamy. I just recently retired from Indian Air Force after, I think, 11 and a half years of service. And just like you, I was in a place of transition, and I was considering whether what should I do? Should I go for probably the PRC and then go for a veteran hiring programs and then get a job in India, or should I want to test the water more? So that is where I was, and luckily I was able to get the right guidance at the right time. I would say I got in touch with MBA and Beyond in time, and I applied for a few schools in the US for my MBA. And I'm happy to share that I got admits from all four that I applied, all four top US universities. And I'll be attending University of Michigan, that is Ross School of Business, in this fall. I'll be starting this August. Yeah, I think that's about me. But rest everything, I think something that with the audience, I can share the same similarities and the background that we come from. So
All right, Archana, thanks for that amazing introduction. I'm just fully pulling off the slides. So today's agenda, it's going to take up some time, but I'll walk you through. Today's agenda is going to be myths around military to MBA. We're going to talk about it. Then we're going to talk about what are the challenges faced by military to MBA journey. What are career opportunities post MBA? Time frame from transition to global MBA. How do I apply for an MBA? So those kind of questions if you're struggling with resources for military applicants, and then we're going to do live Q&A towards the end. And by the way, there is a little surprise for all of you. There's a new initiative that we are beginning, but we're only going to make that announcement towards the end. So stay put, stay there, and we're going to really let you know what we are really up to at MB and beyond. So yeah, Archana, question to you: what do you think are the biggest myths around military to MBA?
I believe it's that the first thing would be like we are too old to go for an MBA. That's something that all of us think, or maybe I was the one. I was definitely one of those. I'm not sure about the others. So to burst that myth, it's not so. The business schools, they are very specific on the minimum requirement of experience and not the max. Nobody says this is the max, right? So do not think that you're old for it. Just, you should, if you think that's the tool for your transition, definitely go for it. That's definitely one. And if you can change the next slide, I would be able to. Yeah, thank you. And this is another thing. This is a curious one that, there are 50% of the lot, they think that GMAT is everything. I need to focus everything on my GMAT. And the other thing that, no, no, I have a great profile. I don't need to worry about my GPA or GMAT, something like that. But both the extremes are wrong. It's part of your application. It's going to be that integral thing, and it definitely weighs along with your profile. So even though it's just one component, that is something definitely you should think of, right? And the third is, yeah, that's an interesting one. Some candidates that I've had a recent conversation with, they are confident that they will anyway get admitted because they have this diversity factor of being a veteran. And when it comes to global MBA, trust me, that's not true. Not true at all. They have applications coming from all over the world. Veterans from all over the world apply, and you're in that competitive pool. So it's not something that you get granted. So you have to work for it. That's for sure, right? And another myth is, and this is something which I never realized during my journey, that only officers apply for MBA, and that's not true. Any military personnel, anybody who associates them with the name veteran, they can definitely go for it, right? As long as they are able to, like Pardi mentioned, as long as you're able to mention why you want to do it, there is no parity between the ranks. So everybody should definitely consider and apply. And this is the biggest thing. Even I had as a myth, and where I struggle. I thought that I'm transitioning now. Maybe in next 2 months, my course is going to start, and I can apply now. That's not how the timeline works, right? You have to apply at least a year before. That those timelines were a biggest myth that I didn't know about. So I had to really rush through in the last minute. So that's something people should look out for. Yeah, that's all in the major ones, I think.
Yeah, thanks for the insightful information that you just shared with us, Archana. I was also wondering, because this is a question that I get asked a lot, and I know that you're the best person to answer. I mean, I know a couple of them, but it'll be interesting to have the audience relate with you as well for this. What do you think are the challenges faced in military to MBA journey for applicants?
Yeah, I would say the first and important one was choosing whether I want an MBA or not. Should I just directly, go for my job, pick up a job, and then continue with it because I didn't want to have the break, or go for the graduation, or just go for the studies after these many years? So that's something definitely I had as a challenge. So I had to really choose between a full time degree and a PRC. So that's one. And the second was, once when I knew that I want to go for my higher studies, the second was like, should I go for MBA or should I go for any other masters which is going to specialize there? So that's another biggest thing I had to think through. And once when I even kind of narrowed down to MBA, I didn't know whether I should go for a full time or a 1 year or part time executive. There are like multiple formats out there. So that's definitely another one that I had to navigate through. All the things that I'm discussing, probably I'll be discussing in detail about them in the later part. So, and the biggest challenge out of all was things getting lost in translation. I understand that we all come from this very unique, non-traditional, non-business background. So it becomes hard for us to, bring out all the things we did in military into that resume, into those essays, and not compromising on the confidentiality of the information. So that's something I struggled a lot with, not to compromise on the quality of my work that I'm putting in, and how to put it in the business words exactly. Because translating that I commanded a firing unit, it's not going to sound the same, and people don't care. Let's be honest, right? We have all the medals, ribbons, we have a glorious service, but when it comes to corporate, people really, they appreciate it, they thank you for it, but they wouldn't be able to relate to it. So you have to ensure that you are putting it in the right framework, so that it is at least readable and understandable by the admissions committee, and you don't lose your chance just because of that. And the last would be the test, the GMAT or GRE, right? I know it's been years that we have been in service, and it is hard for us to get back to the study mode after these many years. And for few, I know that you have been giving exams every single year, so test is something I'm sure you're fed up of, just like I was. So, but there is no go around it. You have to navigate through. The sooner you start your preparation, the better. Because every test they have their own validity of 5 years. So you will be able to take it in advance and keep your scores ready once when you're ready for a transition. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that information as well, Archana. Very insightful. Another question that we get asked a lot, and I'm sure you do too when you get bombarded by these messages on LinkedIn. What do you think are the career opportunities for veterans post MBA? Like, what kind of options can they explore, and what should they really be putting in their application, and what counts for them? So, yeah.
Right. Initially, when I started with my search for narrowing down my career options, I struggled because the kind of network that I had in LinkedIn, it is again similar. It's all the military officers, all the veterans. So wherever I used to go around, I would see the similar kind of certifications, the Six Sigma ones. I would say the PMP certifications. I would see all of that, and I was confused whether should I just go for the certifications and then search for a job. But the moment I decided to go on MBA, when I started researching about what are the options with me, I was amazed and surprised by the kind of options out there. Right? I'm just sharing, I think in the screen, what we are seeing right now, this is the screenshot which was taken from the employment report of my school, that is Ross School of Business. I just wanted to share just to give an introduction. Every school, you will find a similar report in every school. You should totally go and check it out. What are the kind of options that would give you the amount of percentage of the candidates who are going for it will give you the salary, it will give you the signing bonus, it will give you all information, and you will be able to even identify the different difference by industry, the function, and even with roles for some reports. So go through this, and there is absolutely no limit. I spoke to multiple veterans who have just graduated from my university and other university as well. And I was surprised to see that the veterans who had around military, he was an army veteran and he is now an investment banker, and another veteran who was in maybe the navy or the infantry, he's a product manager in a tech role with Amazon. So there is absolutely no limit to it, and we shouldn't limit ourselves with the information. So all I say is get onto this report, start reading, and then start seeing all the. And this is something which I was actually introduced by MBA and beyond, because I was struggling to find my post MBA goal. I remember my consultant, my mentor, he was the one who made me read through all the reports like this, and then he ensured that I understand what is out there, what are my options, and to relate to each function, read the bios, read the descriptions, you will be able to understand and relate. But post MBA, your opportunities are just as equally good as any other candidate who would be graduating with you, and rather you would have more edge towards your employability, because you bring that leadership quality, you bring the unique skill set which is not with anybody else in the corporate.
Amazing. So, I think Archana kind of already answered and helped you navigate your way through this. And this is the key, guys. Research is the key. So if you're well researched, you'll have more knowledge and you'll have more understanding and clarity for what Archana is saying. And everything starts with research for any kind of application you're thinking of doing. And the schools have that kind of like data that you really need to get. So you go to the school's website, navigate to career statistics. That's where you find all this data from.
For example, in this slide, when we say consulting, I didn't know there are multiple types of consulting that I could probably think of. Right, in this one, that exactly what I wanted to show people. Finance is not just the financial sector; it has multiple roles and functions within. So go through it, get a hang of it, read the bios. You will be able to figure out.
Thanks a lot, Archana, about that. And okay, what is the framework that you recommend to transition for any applicant to MBA from veteran, like wherever they're coming from?
In my opinion, it should start way early before you even know the transition. Mine was a PSS. I took separation from service voluntarily. So I had very less time to prepare. But unlike me, I think for everybody else who are short service officers or even otherwise, you would have a adequate time in your hand before you know that you're going to do the transition. So you should start thinking on a particular fashion. First, if you are thinking about MBA, you should really understand what is the kind of outcome you're looking at. What are you trying to achieve out of that MBA? Is that where you do you want to relocate your where you want to live? Do you want to live in US, Europe, or some other country? Then choose your study or MBA accordingly, right? And what are the kind of job opportunity you're looking for? Are you fine with the veteran hiring? Because in my opinion, I'll just be honest and blunt here. Um, I know this is hard to hear, but the veteran hiring program, when I researched about it, it is something I don't feel that that is what we deserve. We deserve much more than that, right? All the 10 years or 15 years or 20 years that you have put in service, it should not be just restricted with the tag of diversity hiring, right? All your original, the skill set, your leadership quality, that should be the one which should be assessed and valued. And with an MBA, that is what you're going to show what you are worth, right? So I don't think we should settle down for anything less. So think about the opportunity if that's what you want to do, and think about another option like what do you want to actually learn. That would give you clarity on whether you want to choose a masters or whether you should go for MBA. Right? What is the thing that you want to add to your skill set?
Yeah. And yes, definitely goals and your vision matter. So thanks, Archana, for sharing that knowledge. And yes, I mean, where do you want to live is, I believe, is one of the most important aspects that I've
Yeah.
realized when people choose their programs or their schools where they want to go to. And because I mean, MBA is not the goal. It's the means to your goal. So
Yeah.
you have to question. And I strongly agree that you have to, because you have to think about the rest of the life. Where do you want to see yourself living? So that comes as the paramount and the number one question to answer first. All right, thanks, Archana. Moving on. Yeah,
And the second one would be about once when you know that you want to do an MBA. I think that's why we have this crowd here. So I think half of you at least must have decided on that you want to consider MBA. So once when you consider MBA, now it becomes important for you to choose whether you want to go for a full-time MBA, which is going to be full 2 years, or is it going to be a 1 year MBA or executive or part-time. There are 100 formats out there which you can choose from. Sorry, not 100, maybe 5 or 6, maybe. Yeah. That's the one. So, but I can share why I chose full time MBA. I even with it 11 and a half years, I believe that the full time MBA was going to give me the kind of experience I wanted out of MBA. I wanted the whole package. I wanted the internship. I wanted the time to explore my career. Even though we are supposed to know everything prior hand, but that's okay, right? We should be able to have the time to figure out, see, test out the water, have some internship, see if that's the career for you, see if that's the company for you, and then get on some other networking. You should have adequate time for that. So I wanted the whole package, so I went for the 2 year. But that could not be the requirement for others. If you're someone who already knows everything and if you're sure what you want to do, you can definitely go for the 1 year MBA as well. That's totally up to you. And we have options of executive MBA, which you will be continuing your work and then you will be doing it on probably on the weekend basis, which is going to be in campus session again. But again, that's totally up to you. But the kind of value that you're going to have out of a part time and executive will not be just same as your full time and the full 1 year on campus MBA. That's something you should consider while you're choosing. Next.
Yep.
Yeah. And the other frame that you should, now that you have decided whether you want to go for a full time or a part time or 1 year, 2 year, now it's time you should start your preparation. And this should actually come before, way before than you even think of your MBA. You should start working on your GMAT, you should start working on your GRE. And for very senior officers or with very senior professionals, in nowadays there is another thing called executive assessment, that's called EA. So nowadays, schools are getting adopted to a new testing system. So if you are above 17, 18 years of experience, you should totally consider executive assessment as well, right? And start your preparation, take those official marks, see where you stand, and see how much of preparation you need. And then have your goal plan accordingly. And also similarly, you should check with your undergrad, or already if you are graduate, you should see whether you qualify for the IELTS or a TOEFL waiver. Because if you come from an institution where English is your primary language, you don't need those. So don't take all the tests that is out there. Because I, whenever I speak to candidates, see they have taken GMAT, GRE, IELTS, everything. Not required. Just see if you qualify for the waiver, and just focus on the only things which you need to work on. And understand this, that most of the tests like GRE and GMAT, they have 5 years of validity. And please, if you are attending the session today, go back to your units, go back to your juniors who are likely to transition in next few years, maybe 3 and above. Tell them, if you're considering, they should start preparing towards their test. Because once when you're in the end of your transition, it will be too hard for you to focus on GMAT and application all at the same time. So do it in time.
Amazing. Thanks for those tips, Archana, and thanks for giving them the motivation that they need to. GMAT is actually the first barrier that I think
Yeah.
all of them have to break. And then once that's broken, they sort of start working on their application. And that's when they're like confident and 100% sure that they have to. Unless like you start the test prep, you'll always be in the conundrum or the dilemma whether or not you keep talking to multiple people. You have to start your test prep someday or the other. So
Yeah.
it's better do it today itself. Go back to your units and think it over, like Archana said, and remind your juniors that this is the time to take the test, and then anything will come afterwards.
I
All
really
right.
wish somebody told me way before that I need there is something called GMAT and I should prepare for it.
Yeah.
Probably I would have had better time in doing so. And the
Yeah.
next thing that you should do, once when you are decided on when you are taking your test, book your test. The moment you pay for it, when you block your calendar, you will take the test. So do it, right? So the next thing now you should do towards the framework is you have to do research on your school. Now you know, okay, let's consider you decided that you want to live in US, so you're logged on to US. Now you know you're going for MBA, you're taking GMAT, all fine. So now how to choose your school? First thing is you can look out for multiple forums where you will have the ranking of each school. I believe the FT also gives the ranking, US News gives the ranking. You can go and see ranking of each school, and you will be able to understand each school specializes in few things. Like my school is known for consulting, Ross is known for consulting. So similarly, there are schools out there which are known for their field. So align what you want to do and then see if that's the school for you. And once when you do that, you get into their employment report. As an international, it is again very, very important for you to know that you're going to be employed by the time you graduate, right? With this 200K of tuition, with the amount of years that you take off from your life, the amount of investment that you're doing, you should know that you should be employed. So definitely go through that employment report, read what is the prospects for international applicant, international students like you, and start attending. Once when you narrow down the list, start attending their info sessions. Every business school will host multiple coffee sessions, like just like we are doing, right? So they will have their own unique info sessions where they'll be talking about the program. They will give clarity about different management programs they have. So probably you will be able to identify and understand better once when you attend them. And once when you do, if you feel like that's the program for you, start talking to the current student ambassadors. That's when you will find out what's the vibe of the school, right? That was another important factor for me when I was choosing my school. I wanted somewhere where I could have a collaboration. I would have the similar background that I had in military. I wanted people to have me back at all time. I wanted to know that this is the space where I want to be. So for me, that was again a very important factor. So you should definitely talk to those ambassadors. In every school website, they would have listed their ambassador based on the categorization. That could be based on the geography, or that could be based on the career interest that they have. So you can reach out to them, you can talk to them and see, get to know the school better, get to know how things work there. That would give you a lot of clarity as well.
Perfect. All right. And this is something that I'm sure you again get asked a lot, and we've talked about it. What do I need to apply for an MBA? What does an applicant need for a
Yeah,
student?
before I forget, when I was talking about the school, I realized I think in MBA and Beyond website we have a lot of resources about school, right? So I think someone must be sharing them in the comment box. So feel free to check it out, and that have a very exhaustive information that you need to know. What is the average age group, and what are the school specializes in? What is the GMAT, GRE? You will have everything. So that's a good tool. Don't miss out on that one. And coming to Paradis' question, okay, now that you have decided everything, you narrowed down on school, you know what you want to do, but how do you apply? That's the biggest question, right? So, Paradis, next.
Yep.
So, before you apply, you should know, and you should have a valid test score, right? Like I already mentioned, the validity, it's going to be 5 years. You should have a test score. Now comes the biggest component which I had struggled with was resume, right? We are one of those people who don't write resume throughout our service. We don't. So maybe after 10 years or 15 years, when you have to sit down and write what happened in the past 10, 15 years, it is hard. So don't do that mistake once again. Start your resume work well in time. At least do it, a year before you make your transition. Start, writing, start taking notes, start taking all the important incidents that happened with you, all the achievements that you went through, all the process that you refined, all the difference that you made, right? So bring out all of those into at least bullet points. Keep those points ready with you, because that's the only way you can have a meaningful and an impactful resume. Start working on it. And another problem you would have during your resume preparation is how much of the information you can reveal, right? Because I think that's something we always struggle with the nature of the work we do and the amount of content we have. We cannot say that I went for a test wearing or so on, so right. So how to put those into, so take out all the jargons out of your military work and put them into actionable points. If you did something, do not mention what is that activity. Say what was the actionable point and what was the result in that, and what was your contribution in it, right? This is how you should approach from the beginning, so that by end of maybe 3 4 months you will be in a better place to start your resume with those bullet points. It takes time. Do not take it for granted. It really takes time. I really struggle with it, and I think MBA and beyond helped me a lot in that category, how to filter out a lot of things, but that takes time. So start well in advance. And another major thing which we generally don't know about is all the global MBAs, let that be US schools or Europe Business School or any other Canada, any other business school, they have a very set format in their application which would ask for your resume. It'll ask for multiple essays, it's not just one. And few schools, they even have video essays, and they would ask for your letter of recommendation from your senior or your supervisor that they call, and there is going to be the interview part of it. So when it comes to essays, this is another place where you'll have to put in all your efforts that you have gone through. You should be able to bring out your journey, and you should be able to explain why you are a right fit for the school, right? You could have chosen the school because it's number one in ranking, but why should they need you? right? Just like you, they're going to have thousands and thousands of other veteran applicants. So how should you stand out? That's something you should start working on, right? And it's not going to be just one essay, that's going to be multiple of them. You should understand what they're asking, and you should approach each question with a different one. And letter of recommendation is something, again, this is not something we are used to, or we cannot ask our maybe the officer that we report to write a recommendation. But to make it easy, I think the GMAC already made the standard format, which is already available in their website, which you can easily download even today. It's a PDF, editable PDF. See what is being asked, and that is something you can share with your recommender. And you should understand what are the components which comes in part of the recommendation, and you should be able to identify your recommender. That's the biggest part. Understanding is another thing. You should be able to identify who is going to be your recommender, who can write everything about you, who knows you in and out, and who will be able to justify your actions, right? Once when you're done through all, along with your transcripts and everything, you will be applying, you will be submitting your application. And this is where another one thing I want you to remind, for considering you're going for a 2024 September intake, your application closes in September 2023, a year before. I believe that's the standard norm for all schools, Paridhi.
Yeah.
Yeah, most.
Most of them. There's January 23 intake as well. So the
Yeah.
application usually starts 1 year prior to the intake.
Yeah, it starts 1 year prior, so that's something you should remember, because you have to plan your transition accordingly. I made this mistake of getting out of service in September, and I'm starting my school the next August. So I have this break with me. If I knew that I had to apply a year prior, I would have done it in time. So that's, I don't want you to make the same mistake. So if you're 1 year for your transition, just you should start applying this September. So the next nearest cycle for us would be, I think, September in cycle.
Yeah.
That's going to come up now. So if you're planning for next year, if you're planning to attend the school, this is the deadline that you're going to have. And you will have multiple rounds, round one, round two, and round three, which you will be able to research in the website. But considering most of us are international, the round one and round two are considered as the for the better opportunity. Yeah, the chance of acceptance is going to be high in round one and round two, so you should totally target those rounds. And once when you apply, you would be called for an interview if the application is good. And yeah, go for the personal interview. Nowadays, it's all going to be virtual, so that's another thing. No traveling involved. But yeah, after that, you'll have to wait for your results, the D-Day, right? So that's the process you will go through. That takes about months and months of preparation, and months of putting in efforts towards preparing these, and also a year prayer. Something you should remember.
Wow. Thanks, Archana, for crystallizing the whole process so beautifully and helping them understand exactly what it takes to start thinking and eventually getting an interview invite and then finally making it to their dream schools. But yeah, okay. So, yeah, there's something else that you wanted to share.
Yeah, now that I know it is kind of intimidating in the beginning, I've been there where you are. It is intimidating because this is the process that this is too exhaustive and well structured by the school. They want you to know everything before you apply. They want you to know what's your post MBA goal. They want you to know what do you want to do, and what are you expecting out of this MBA. Why do you want to do it? They want you to know everything before you even click that submit button. So for getting those information, it's the best resource that you can have is talking to the veteran clubs. Every business school have multiple clubs, and there is a unique veteran club in every single school. I've not seen one which does not have. So reach out to those veteran clubs. You will find their email addresses in their school website. You will be able to reach out to them, talk to them. They are the best resource for you. They will be able to tell you what is the expectancy of that particular school. For example, if I went to Ross, I reached out to Ross Veteran Club, right? The Armed Forces Association. So they were able to guide me throughout the process how I should approach the admission for that particular school, right? So that's the biggest resource you would have. And yes, start networking. This is something we don't do because we are people who generally are not on any social media before we do the transition. But start getting to know more officers, more personnel who are in the same journey. Network with them, get to start sharing all the information that you have with them, because we are someone, I feel like, kind of shielded from the outside. So this is something that you should totally go for, and start networking with the current students of those business schools. That something is definitely going to come handy for you. And yeah, there are multiple resources that I found useful with MBA and Beyond website. I'm sure they would be sharing those in the comment section below. Feel free to go to the website and then reach out and then read all those articles. Those free resources are great to get your head on to the game, and then it will give you that alignment that you need. And the last and the best resource could be just help a fellow veteran. Like that's the whole point of me and beyond doing the session for you all. So as and when somebody is in need, do help them. That's the only thing which will make the difference in the end.
Thanks, Archana. And yeah, most of you guys, I mean, I don't know if you know, but most of the world goes to business school for networking. So networking, I think you already need to start getting your hands dirty with that, like Archana has already mentioned. So get out of the bubble and start talking to people around, connect, make connections on LinkedIn, enhance your LinkedIn profile, enhance your LinkedIn connections. That's where you'll find the most impressive people from your community as well, going to top business schools, and send them connection request. I'm sure the community is always willing to find new people and find ways to give back to the community. So, yeah, amazing. All right. Thank you, Archana, for that amazing and insightful session. Guys, if you have any questions for Archana, please drop them in the comment section. We are going to take them up soon after I walk you through the process and the surprise that we have for you. And we're going
Yes.
to reveal it to you in a bit. Maybe wait another 5 to 7 minutes and you're going to know what do we have for all of you, and something that you may really be interested in. All right. So, uh, just the process in general, that you guys understood how heavy it is, what it really takes from GMAT to starting the work on research, networking, and everything that you need to pull together to write a great application. And to come up with a great application has a secret sauce, which of course we've tried to figure out the best we can, and we keep optimizing it according to the needs of what an applicant really needs and what a business school really needs. So we try to match them together and come up with a process, and that's broken down into 3 phases. The first phase is called content gathering phase. So before we actually jump onto writing your essays or helping you write your letters of recommendation, helping you with broad pointers or interview preparation or resume or whatever, we want to get to know you as a person, and we want you to know yourself as a person, because an important part of your application is going to be you having clarity about your own personality, your own uniqueness, and your own self. And how do you translate your experience into what business schools actually need? So we put you through this phase that's called content gathering phase, where you work very closely with a therapy practitioner and a psychologist, because you don't know the other side of the Adcom table. There's a psychologist actually sitting who's reading your application to see whether you match the values of the business school or not. So in this phase, we've got 3 sets for you. Set one revolves around very high level questions around core and fundamentals of any business school, no matter what business school you're applying to. You're going to have to answer a bunch of questions, but we put you through a lot of framework so you understand what's the right approach of thinking around it. You're going to read a lot of sample essays. You'll get to read probably Archana's sample essay as well. So you kind of know that, wow, how she presented herself. What did she say in her application? What it really meant when it came to achievements? What did she portray as her achievement? So you're going to answer questions like, why do you need an MBA? What's your short-term goal? What's your long-term goal? How do you draw the connection with your current military experience that you have? How do you translate your experience into a corporate world experience? So all of this will be tackled in this particular set, in this particular section of content gathering phase. Once you've answered these questions, you would realize you would have answered a bunch of questions, and you could literally write a book on yourself, because you would have answered 12 main questions and 40 sub questions. It's going to be like a thick like document of all the information, your life's journey, into that document before you can translate that into any kind of essay or letters of recommendation. So once you've done this, now this is from your perspective, this is in one dimension, this is you thinking about yourself. We move on to section 2. This is a little quirky step, and might I tell you, some people find it intimidating, but not so many people with your background. I'm sure you've seen more intimidating stuff than this. So here we try to understand you from a third person perspective. So I'll tell you why do we do this before I tell you what it is about. So we spend time with admissions directors of top 10 business schools every year. One of the things that we've closely noticed and observed that they have a knack of identifying self biases in your application. Now, when I say self biases, they can clearly see through when you're talking about your strengths and weaknesses, achievements and failures. You have a lot of examples to support your strengths, but for your failures, you do have examples you try to sort of defend yourself. And it's only natural because we are human beings and we try to, Homo sapiens tend to defend themselves. So that's natural, but they are looking for fairly more neutral individuals than an average human being. And you have to make sure that you prove yourself self bias free in your application, and you bring out the best aspects of your application without any biases from your own perspective. So here is when your family and friends come into picture and they help you holistically and help us holistically to get a third person perspective into your journey. When that happens, we are able to do justice to your application and make it self bias free. So, we are going to ask you to choose three really important people in your life: one personal, one professional connection, and the third one could be either of them. Might I tell you, some people are clever enough to get already their professional recommenders to do this bit for them. And we are going to send them a really candid questionnaire to collect some information on your personality, on your strengths and weaknesses, examples from their experiences with you, and you'll be surprised the number of times you're going to go back to this content to make your application even more enriching. At least 40% of your recommendation is going to be made up of this content. It'll help you understand what your recommender or what others are going to talk about you, how do they see you, so that you can make your application modulate according to that to strengthen the chances of you getting through. Then we move on to the third set, section 3 of content gathering phase. This is where the magic, like Archana also says, very like she says, this is where the magic actually happens, and I also believe it truly does. You only make it through to a top business school when you bring out 100% of your personality in your application. And to bring out your personality, it's important that everything else that you've done in your life also goes hand in hand with your personality, so that it's not like hanging around somewhere in the air. For that, we are going to put you through a personality test. And based on the results of the test, we are going to define the traits that become the backbone of your application. Everything else that you've done in your life is going to hang around it as a supporting piece of evidence. Once all of this is done, I know this looks exhausting, but this is precisely what you need to bring out a really good, unique application. Once all of this is done, your consultant comes into the picture, and then we move on to the second phase. Your consultant is an alumni or a candidate of a top business school like INSEAD, LBS, Wharton, Stanford, Haas, HEC. And these kind of consultants, they are willing to give back to the community, coach you, and give you unlimited hours. You're possibly going to go on calls with them twice or thrice a week. We do a working call. We don't just believe in giving you feedback in comment section of or dropping a comment in a Word document or a Google Doc. You're going to really brainstorm with your consultant. Your consultant goes through all the content that you've gathered, goes into a call with you, brainstorms with you, and come up with a one pager branding document for you. This is a document which has your high level storyline, your theme, your strategy, your direction for a top MBA. Once you have this document with you, this is your holy boy Bible. This is your source of truth for a business school that you keep going back to each time you have to write or start any application for any business school. Once your branding document is ready, we will also help you pick the best match schools for you where you have the highest potential of converting. Why do we do this at this stage and why not in the beginning? Because it's important for us to know you best. Like this, at this stage, your consultant will know you best because of the stories, and you will know yourself better than you knew yourself before content gathering. When you know yourself, we are going to see how well do you match the values of different business school. Based on that, we are going to pick the schools where you have the highest chances of converting. One of the aspects that business schools actually, that applicants really undervalue, and might I tell you, is the values of a business school. You have to understand that business schools beyond your GMAT score is also looking for how well do you bring in the values that they hold really strong. So go to the business school's website and try to see what values do they really hold true. For example, INSEAD really cares about international experience. Duke Fuqua cares about teamwork a lot and diversity a lot. Oxford cares about diversity and inclusion. So the more kind of stories that you have for a particular set of value, the higher are your chances to convert that particular business school. So we're going to help you understand where you match the most values, and then basis that we're going to help you align with the schools and then start the work on your essays. Then comes the last phase of our process where we start working on your essays. We do multiple iterations with you, hold your hand, give you complete direction. On an average, in 4 to 5 iterations, your essays will be stellar, but you can expect unlimited hours and unlimited iterations from your consultant. You, again, like I said, you're going to do this with your consultant who's from a top notch business school and go into unlimited hours of consultation or brainstorming calls with them. We are then going to help you with letter of recommendation. We don't help you write it, but we help you churn out the broad pointers which your recommender should really talk about. So then you can go and have a coffee chat with your recommender, sort of put in the words and the sentences in their head that these are the things that possibly, if you talk about me, I'm going to have a better chance of converting a business school. Um, it's highly important for you to understand that a recommendation cannot be a duplication of your resume or your essay. It has to be a complementary piece of evidence that supports your resume and your essay. So there's no point repeating any sort of evidence. Make sure that you bring out some extra and supporting piece of evidence in your recommendation. For that, we have a mapping tool. So I'm going to give you an example. For example, you're talking about in your experience, you're talking about that you're a very smart leader. It's important that your recommender talks about some examples of leadership for you. So your aspect of personality and the examples go hand in hand uh, to project yourself like very strongly in front of the admissions committee as a leader. We are then also going to help you with your resume. We have a dedicated session for you on that. And then some video interviews, because some schools also ask for video interviews. So it's like an essay. You have to like do a lot of rehearsals for that. And we're going to help you with that as well. Like record yourself over and over again and we make it perfect. Then eventually, if you make it to the final round of interview, we are going to do a lot of mock sessions with you until you're perfect enough to be the driver of your own interview in the direction that you want to take it. So that's the full process, guys. And if you're thinking of going for this year's deadline, which is August and September, early action and round one, you should already get started with your application. And I think Archana has already stressed upon the fact, and I would like to reiterate that um, applicants who are early risers always have a better chance of converting any school with scholarships. So, early action and round one, you should already be working on your application. All right, Archana, shall we reveal the surprise now?
Yeah, I'm also waiting for it. Yeah, go for it, Pardeep.
Okay, guys, this is an initiative that Archana talked about a couple of months back and took us a while to actually materialize this, but we are launching something that's called MBA for Veterans Fellowship, where we are going to offer 4 applicants throughout the year a chance to work with us for free. We've just dropped the link in the in the little bar that you see at the bottom of the screen. Click on that. I'm also going to share my screen and present it to you. I'll show you how you can apply for this fellowship. So allow me a minute. We're going to offer help to one applicant per season, so per quarter. So if you're interested in this fellowship, please go ahead and apply. There is a little form. You can click on apply for fellowship. Let me just share my screen. What do you feel about it, Archana? Meanwhile, I'm just pulling off the screen. And thanks for like these amazing ideas that you've given us. She's always wanted to give back to the community, guys. And we are also always about giving back to the community. That's why, Archana.
Yeah, first of all, I was really, really excited when the founder and the co-founder, that's Pardi, when they came up with this idea that, yeah, we should totally go for it because they are someone who definitely value and respect the amount of contribution and the service that we did. And of course, I can associate with that. And the moment I told them they were ready to get on board, and they came up with this amazing opportunity of doing this entire process that she does describe, which is going to take months and months of work, a consultant work. They just wanted to do it for free. They also want to contribute back to the community in their own way. So that I would say thank you so much, Paridhi, for coming up with this offer. This is something really, really great, and I'm sure it's going to definitely benefit the community.
Thanks a lot, Archana. It wouldn't have been possible without you, and you know that too.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
yeah. Okay, guys. So if you're interested in working and if you are really chasing an MBA this year, now is the time that you go and submit your application for MBA for veterans. Archana is a very strict selector or scrutinizer, so to say. She's the one who's going to be choosing the applicant who gets selected for this particular fellowship. If you're interested, go to mbaandbeyond.com/MBA hyphen for hyphen veterans. You scroll down all the way. If you want to speak to Archana, click on schedule an expert call and you're going to land on Archana's calendar. So you could have a one-on-one conversation with her. If you really want to discuss anything with Archana, please feel free to schedule a call with her. Choose a time slot that suits you best. If you're interested in the fellowship, we have listed down some eligibility requirements here. So just check on the eligibility requirements and click on this button that says apply for fellowship. When you click, you land on a form. The form has a bunch of questions. Don't get scared, but feel free to be as honest as you can. Submit your answers, and we're going to analyze, come back to you within a month. And by the end of April, we would already have selected that candidate we are going to work for the fellowship this year. So
That is really, really great, and I am looking for going through this process with NBA and beyond. Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, did I not share my screen? Did you
No,
guys
you
not?
did not. You did not, Paridhi. If
I'm
you
going to do,
can, yeah.
yeah, I'm going to do this one more time, guys. I'm really sorry. My bad. Today is not the best day for the technical stuff. Guys, okay, this is the landing page again. You go to mbaandbeyond.com, MBA hyphen for veterans. If you want to get on a call with Archana, click schedule a free expert call. You land on Archana's calendar. You can choose the time slot that you want to hop on a call with. You will possibly find that, and then you can have a conversation with her around any concerns, any doubts that you have. She's always happy to give back. If you're interested in the fellowship, scroll all the way down, read about the fellowship, read about the eligibility requirements, and if you want to apply for this fellowship, click on apply for the fellowship and just fill out this form that we have. It's not very scary. Try to be as honest as possible. Submit the requests. Archana and the team is going to go through and select the applicant who we are going to be working with this year. We are then going to come back to you by the end of this month. So the sooner you do, the better. It gives us more window to see where you're at, or you're an early riser or not. So the deadline for this is 20th of April. So we'll be having 10 days to finally decide who we are going to be working with this month. All right. Great. I'm really excited to see like who all of you are actually interested in this. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, Archana. Guys, any questions? Do we have any questions for you, Archana?
Let's
Any
see.
questions? Yeah, I'm just scrolling through the comment section. Okay, we'll wait like another minute. If no questions, then
I believe most of the audience would be joining from LinkedIn. So maybe you can put it in the comment section of LinkedIn itself if the links are not clickable.
Yeah. Okay. Assuming that we already answered, Archana, you already answered most of the questions that you get on an average, like every day.
Yeah, that's exactly how I designed the flow of the agenda for today so that I am able to clear out all the questions. Yeah.
Great. So then I think it's the thanks everyone for joining, and thank you Archana for such an insightful session and for making MBA for Veteran Fellowship possible, because it could not have been possible without you. And I'm really excited to embark on this new year of giving back to the community with you. So is Shantanu, and so is the whole team of MBA and Beyond. And I, on behalf of the team of MB and Beyond, really want to appreciate you guys for all that you do for your countries and how well do you give back to the community and save us from all that like could really befall us. So we really really we respect the kind of effort that you put in, and you sometimes your stories really stir us to tears. So this is just a small gesture to give back to all of you. There's a question, Archana.
Yeah, what is the meaning of test waivers and are they applicable to all business schools? That's a good question. Test waivers were given out when we were going through the pandemic, so mainly due to the pandemic and the COVID 19 situation. So it was the waivers were in place for 2020 and the 2021 application cycle. However, we are through that, right? In to my knowledge, Paradis, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have crossed that stage where we can apply with the waiver. That was last year, and I was one of those who applied with the waiver, definitely, right? And maybe we don't know what it's going to be with the admissions committee this year, so we'll have to wait out and see how they're whether they're going to continue with the same waiver process or they want to get back and then get the test scores. So we will know in few months. Right now, we don't have that information.
Yeah.
Okay, how do we get GMAT waiver? Okay, that's a great question. First of all, you all should understand that it is very, very easy for you to approach your business school, right? Start writing emails to them. I didn't know. I think Pardi was the one who told me just send them an email. It's going to be okay, right? On my first call with her. So write them an email that you're so and so, and this is, and by the time you should have your resume ready. That's something you should work, at least a draft of it, if not the complete one, right? So attach your resume, say that you're so and so and you're interested in their program and you want to know if and you will be able to see whether they're giving out waivers through their websites. And I believe we have an article with us where we talk about all the test waivers that are available. I think someone will be sharing in the comment later, so you will be able to scroll down later, check out for that link. And those are the list of schools who were giving out waivers so far. And if they still continue, yeah, that information will be there too. You write to the school, and few schools will give out waiver directly, and for few schools you have to start the application. You have to go to the application full-time MBA, and then you have to create your profile. Once when you're in your application, there will be a space where you can apply for a waiver. Along with your test score component, you will have a test waiver application. So it will be embedded within your application. So look out for those. If not, you can write to the school directly. I hope that answered the question.
Thanks, Archana. Actually, Archana, Harry just highlighted that there are a bunch of questions in the Slido,
Oh,
but
in the
maybe
Slido.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
maybe you can take this one up, and I'm gonna meanwhile share the screen and bring all those of questions up on the screen. So yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So, can you please comment on the financial planning for MBA, specifically? Yes, this is something I think I missed in my agenda for today, specifically because I wanted to answer if anybody wants to know. First of all, there is no separate scholarship application when it comes to applying for at least the global business school or even one of the top business school, that is ISB. So there is no separate application. So what is going to qualify you for your scholarship is your profile, how well you're presenting yourself and how well they think that you are qualified. Just to give you an idea about how things happen on the other side, why would anybody give you scholarship? Because they don't want to lose you, right? They want you to be part of their class. They think that you are someone who can add much value to their cohort. So that's why they give you a scholarship. So you have to prove to them that you are that unique person. So that should be part of your every single element of applications, because there is no separate application for it. So it should shine through your resume, through your essays, through your everything. So now that we've spoken about scholarships, coming to the loan and the repayment options that you were asking for. For international students, if you're planning for a global MBA, there are multiple vendors who are ready to give you that loan without even any collateral or without a cosigner. To give few example, one is Empower Finance. You can Google about it, and the second one would be Prodigy Finance. These two are the ones who would give it to you if you have an admit from a top business school. Let's say top 20, top 30. They have multiple schools already, the list with them. So if your school qualifies for that, you are in for a loan. So repaying, again, coming to that, it's an individual option in your individual capacity. Um, to give my example, I had a cosigner in US, so I went with the option of cosigner, and I'll be paying in maybe 5 to 7 years at the max, because the tuition might look heavy for you right now. 200K is not something less when you convert it into Indian rupees or any other currency to your home country. But you should look at what is your employment report says. What's going to be your the average salary once when you graduate. So with that, it's not going to be much of a burden. Initially, it might look though, but it's not. You will be able to. I hope I answered that one.
Yeah, there are a bunch of questions there, Archana,
Mm-hmm.
on the screen. So one of the questions is, what are the challenges in going for MBA post-retirement? What are the
Mm-hmm.
avenues in India and abroad? Are one-year programs better option for veterans?
Like I said, 1 year options are definitely good. There are multiple Europe schools, and even in US also we have multiple schools who are specializing in this 1 year MBA. They're still considered as full time MBA, and they are 1 year. Especially if I have to name out few, for a very senior officer category or the senior personnel category, there are three options which are like the top globally recognized, and there is a full competition that would be Stanford MSX, and the other would be MIT Sloan Fellows MBA, and the third would be LBS Sloan Fellows. That would be, of course, in London Business School. But these are the three ones that the candidates or the applicants who are above 15 to 16 years of service or the work ex generally go for. And these are the top ones around the world. So the competition is really, really tight. So yeah, it's all about how your application is going to be. And those programs, the post retirement, your career options are going to be great, and you wouldn't have problem. And answering what are the challenges in going for MBA post retirement, the first challenge would be, I think, to decide that I want to go for MBA and I'm willing to sit in the classroom with bunch of younger cohort and still be willing to learn and then get onto the classroom mode. Yeah, that's one of the challenge I feel. But other than that, the 1 year programs are equally great. You can look in for those details in the website. I think someone can share soon. You will have 1 year program details with us. That's in the website. You can totally check out for those. The
Right.
second one, what
Yeah,
is
what
your
is your take? What is your take on the rigorous admission process you have been through as a veteran? I think Archana already sort of shared that answer. I mean, you've explained everything, but yeah, go for it, Archana.
the regress would be in narrowing down what I want to convey, right? There is, trust me, I thought I have nothing to share through my application, but once when I went through the content gathering that Paridhi mentioned, the amount of things that I had in my hand, I didn't know how to fit in. It was really overwhelming with the amount of stories and amount of achievements, amount of things about me which I could come out. So the one of the rigorous process was to narrow down on what I want to uh, you know what I want to portray in my application. I of course have the help of my mentor through that process, and the other rigorous would be in narrowing down what you want to do. There is one specific MBA essay question, which is, what's your post MBA goal? So that's something which I struggle with. I think because I did not have any information about, at least today, multiple options were there for consulting. I didn't know what is consulting when I started. I didn't know what is investment banking. I didn't know what's a tech PM role. I didn't have clue about any of these things. So when I had to approach those questions, and I had to do my research on the things that I mentioned in the slide throughout, that's something very, very rigorous. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's one more question, Archana. Is it?
Mhm.
Thanks for that. But yeah, I mean, before we jump on to the next one, it actually popped up a question in my head. What did you say in your application you wanted to do post MBA as your post MBA goal?
Me and my consultant, we both had a lot of contemplating thing. I wanted to narrow down on consulting, but
Yeah.
then because see, we should all understand one more thing. You have your MBA time to figure out this for you. Maybe not much, some time, but before application you should know before 1 year. So this is something which should look cohesive. It should be something which defines what I did in my past and whether I'll be able to be successful. So this is where I struggle. I said consulting, but then the thing which was relatable for me was PM, that project management.
Got it.
But I went
Interesting.
with both. Yeah, I went with
Oh,
both.
you went with both. Interesting. All right. So another question there, Archana. Is it good to have some corporate experience before embarking on MBA journey? We were discussing this, like people may have this doubt, but yeah, Archana.
In my opinion, it's not necessary at all. Because in my case, I didn't want to totally do that because I felt like it's my opinion totally. I felt like it's going to dilute my the values that I bring in. Probably when I have to list out about my latest employment, all the goodness I had with the military, probably I thought that's going to go diluted. So I didn't want to dilute my profile in that factor. And of course, when it comes to the requirement, it's absolutely not required that you should have any sort of experience in corporate. You're good to go. You're good to go a year before you do the transition. Yeah.
All right. I think we've answered most of the questions, all of the questions, in fact.
Right.
Okay, great, guys. It was lovely having you over. And Archana, of course, we've overshot by 20 minutes, but
Oh, we did.
we just yeah, but we just wanted to keep on listening to you. So thanks everyone, and thanks Archana for joining us tonight. Have a really good night, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, guys. And you know where to join us if you are interested in working with us. You know where to drop in your details. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Archana. Good
Thanks,
night.
Parvi. Thanks for
And you
having
have a
me.
nice day. You are in the States. Yeah. Bye
Yeah.
bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.